Today's secret sauce is for our screen printing friends, specifically properly degreasing screens. Let me start by explaining the what and the why of degreasing. The what is cleaning your screen mesh thoroughly before coating with emulsion. The why is the fact that emulsion we use to coat our screens is water-based, so any contaminants on the mesh can cause the emulsion to not adhere properly. The results of contaminants on the screen mesh is the scourge of screen printing: pinholes. Pinholes don't necessarily show up on the first print. Maybe on the third print, a tiny dot of color shows up on your garment. Two more prints and another dot, another print and three more dots of color show up. And you use a roll of Scotch tape covering the holes on the screen after every print stroke. When screens come from your supplier, they will already have oil and other contaminants on the mesh. The oil from your skin handling those screens will cause more contamination. So before you coat your screens, you need to properly degrease the mesh. The process is simple. First, wet the screen in your washout sink. Second, use a pump spray bottle to apply a small amount of degreasing solution that you buy from your screen print supplier. Third, using a non-abrasive brush, gently scrub the mesh on both sides. Be sure the brush is only used for the degreasing process so you don't further contaminate the screen with a dirty brush. Last, with a garden hose pressure, wash the suds from the mesh. Once the screen is dry, you are ready to coat with emulsion. So what's some of the misinformation out there? You only need to degrease your screen when they come out of the box, but not when you reclaim the screen to reuse and coat with emulsion again. Absolutely wrong. There are probably more contaminants on that screen after it's been reclaimed than when it came out of the box in the first place. You must degrease your screen every time before you coat with emulsion again. Otherwise, pinholes. Another bit of misinformation is the use of an abrader the first time you degrease your screens. Again, incorrect information. An abrader is degreaser with grit in it to roughen up the surface of the mesh to make the emulsion adhere better. Wrong again. If you use wet emulsion, you're coating both sides of the screen mesh and it adheres to itself through the mesh. But roughening up the mesh can create tiny tears that cause your mesh to lose tension faster. It's going to shorten the life of your screen. The only reason to use an abrader is if you use a capillary film as your emulsion. Capillary film is dry emulsion that adheres to just one side of your wet screen. Capillary film is not as durable as a wet emulsion and not commonly used in garment printing. I recommend buying degreaser from your screen print supplier. It's simply a pure detergent with no additives. Can you use anything else? You can. Simple Green from the hardware store works, but not dishwashing soap, even though it says it's grease fighting. Dishwashing soap has hand softeners, oil-based hand softeners. But we're screen printers. We should use products that are made for the screen printing process. Here's my pro tip advice on the critical window of screen prep success. I don't care what you do with the screen before it's degreased. You can touch the mesh, you can have it in a room with cotton lint in the air or dust, but once you degrease the screen, you need to get it dry as quickly as possible. While it's wet, a screen can attract dust and lint from the air that will adhere to the wet mesh. Pinholes waiting to happen. I recommend either a professional drying cabinet or a rack you build yourself. And if you build your own rack to hold your screens, place a dehumidifier in the bottom and enclose the screens. The faster they dry, dehumidifier pulling that moisture out of the air, the less potential contamination. Once dry, coat right away. And again, get the emulsion on the screen dry as quickly as possible. Wet emulsion can attract contaminants as well. Properly degreased screens will virtually eliminate pinhole issues on the press. That's my secret sauce for today.